Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'll be sharing some popular Mexican boxing gloves with you guys and doing a quick overview. Keep in mind that this is not a review video and I'm not here to compare them and say which glove is better than the other. This is simply so you guys can see the gloves next to each other and get an idea on their sizing, their profile, and their overall shape. I do have some familiar favorites here like Grant as well as Reyes, and I lined them up starting from the top left to the bottom right, where the top left in the top row, starting here, are the more inexpensive gloves, the more affordable ones. And the bottom right, no surprise, are the most expensive. So starting at the top left are the El Primer Asalto. They do have an official website. And once you convert from Mexican pesos to US dollars, these are anywhere between 90 to 100 US dollars. You have Casanova and Glez, which are the same brand, just different models. Again, once you convert over from pesos to dollars, these are about 95 to 100 US dollars. You can get their gloves and reach out to them through their social media like Instagram, Ambar Gonzalez Miranda. Next up are Angeles, which I got from the Boxer Boutique, which I believe are 190 US dollars. Hernandez, which I also got from the Boxer Boutique, which are about 180 US dollars. So these are the more affordable kind of mid-range when it comes to pricing, basically sub 200. Next up are going to be the above 200 range and more than that. The legendary, obviously everybody knows this, needs no introduction, the Reyes gloves. These are their training gloves with latex foam padding, and these are 245. New Sporting, these are going to be their polyurethane foam with horsehair gloves, and these are $285 once you convert over from pesos to US dollars. Next up are going to be the Bayoneta MX latex. So these are their traditional latex gloves. These are $299 on their website, so $300. These are their premium multi-layer with horsehair gloves. So these are latex, polyurethane foam, as well as horsehair. These are their very premium versions. These are $399, $400 for these. And then lastly, the Enigma, of course, are going to be the Grants. These are just a latex foam glove, not horsehair. There's two ways to get Grants, officially in my opinion. There's one, you can email them, which is sales@Grant Worldwide, which I know a lot of you guys hate doing, but that's really the only way you can do that. And then they also do have an official eBay web store, which they occasionally will have gloves for sale on there. That's where I got these. So you have these Grants, and these are about $495, so about $500. So most expensive still, and the least expensive with the El Primer Asalto. Now, next up is going to be the shape of the glove. So you'll see that there's a lot of similarities, and I believe at some point in time, New Sporting made gloves for Grant. So what you're basically seeing now with a lot of these Mexican brands is, like a lot of other, even Pakistan brands, is PLM, private label manufacturing, where you have one manufacturing that's making gloves for multiple different brands. They stick their logo on it and they brand it their own way. But in terms of kind of the size, the shape of the gloves, I'll flip them over. El Primer Asalto. Those are the Bayoneta latex and the Cleto Reyes. You can see these three right here. I would venture to say maybe even the Casanova just a little bit. I'll put the Casanova next to them. Are pretty similar. Now, one thing also you'll notice is that the El Primer Asalto and the Bayoneta latex are both 14. So they have a little bit more of a slimmer profile, although the El Primer Asalto is slightly taller than the Bayoneta. But very similar thumb shape, and same thing with their finger pocket. Next up is going to be the Casanova as well as the Reyes, both 16. Again, very similar in height and width, where the Casanova has a more widened out, like widened, turned out thumb, where the Reyes is a little bit turned out but more pulled in, which I think that they improved over the years. So you can see that the Reyes and like the Bayoneta has a similar shape. Even the drop in their finger compartment is very similar, but the Bayoneta is 14, where the Reyes is 16. So you can see that there's definitely a difference in sizing when it comes to the height, slightly with the Cleto Reyes when it comes to that. So put those next to each other. Next up, it's going to be Glez, Angeles, and Hernandez. Okay, so Hernandez to me also is a company that I think at some point in time made gloves for Grant. And the reason I say that is there's no other company that has made a 16-ounce glove as large as Hernandez. And you can see, when you put the Hernandez next to the Grants are 14, the Hernandez 16. I had a pair of 16-ounce Velcro Grants that were exactly the same size as these Hernandez. And you can just see the overall stitching, finger pocket design, wrist padding, piping kind of look, thumb design is all very similar between the Hernandez as well as the Grant. Now this Hernandez doesn't have the welted seams, but again, you guys be the judge yourself in terms of like the wrist support padding right there. Has a lot of similarities right there. Grip bar. Again, I don't know if they still make them for Grant, but I'm pretty sure that they did at some point in time. And again, a lot of these factories in Mexico, they all use very similar templates when it comes to their cuts of their gloves and their sizing. So you can see there's a lot of similarities there. Same thing with the Angeles. I'll put the 16-ounce Angeles next to the 14-ounce Grant. It's a little bit taller, but pretty similar. The Angeles has a little bit of a difference in terms of the overall cuff feel, finger compartment, but again, kind of a similar look to the Grant. Side profile. Thickness of the foam is very similar as well. Thumb is slightly different. This has a little bit more of a flatter, pushed out thumb where the Grants roll up more parallel with the hand. And both have a very similar tapered punch surface. Angeles obviously has a flat wrist support. But you can see some similarities there as well. Moving down to Bayoneta Premium and the New Sporting. Again, I believe New Sporting manufactured for Bayoneta for some period of time, but again, very, very close in terms of shape, thumb design, wrist padding design. Again, you be the judges for yourselves. You guys can see it, welted seams right there. Same thickness and foam. We'll put the Grants next to them too. And this is why I tell you guys that want to get Grants and Grants this and Grants that. Don't get me wrong, I like Grants for the gloves that they are, right? I think they're great gloves. I just think they're way overpriced. And the reason I say that is because you have all these other brands now that are pretty much the same thing, right? You're just like a lot of products in the world, you're paying for that, right? You're paying for the logo and all, the marketing of it. You're paying for the name, just like anything else, right? So, you know how I am, guys. I'm just going to give it to you straight up and let you guys know. And you guys can make your own decision, but I might as well show you guys and compare them so you guys can see the shapes and sizes and how they're similar and how they're different. Excuse me. But there you have it. When you look at it, the one that really has kind of the most proprietary original design to me still is going to be the Reyes. I feel like they've stuck to their formula for such a long time and still have kind of the same look, where I feel like a lot of the other brands have kind of gone off of the same look with their glove, with the thumb, and New Sporting, Bayoneta, Grant, Hernandez. They all have kind of a very similar shape and look. What it ends up really boiling down to is your budget, how much you're willing to pay, what colorways are available, how accessible they are. You have the more affordable stuff here with the El Premier Asalto and the Casanova and the Glez. Now, granted, the standard Casanova, the quality is not as sharp. Same thing with El Premier Asalto, but you're also paying a lot less. And so it really just depends on you. Padding wise, El Premier Asalto, this is a latex foam glove. This has more of a medium to soft density to it. The Casanovas, again, latex foam, very soft. The Glez, which I'm currently using, these are going to be, I'd say, medium latex foam. Hernandez, again, another latex foam glove. More on the firm side. Definitely takes more time to break in. Angelus, I haven't used these yet. I'd say medium to soft. Grant, I'd say about medium, right there in the middle. Bayoneta Premium multi-layer with horsehair, I'd say about medium. New Sporting foam with horsehair, I'd say medium to soft. And Bayoneta Latex, the classic medium. And of course Reyes, which is latex as well, about medium. So a lot of similarities with these gloves. Again, boils down to is your budget, what available design you like, but all very solid gloves in my opinion. You know, I feel that once you kind of lock in on the colorway you want to go with, I always say to people, figure out what your budget is and draw a line. Say that, hey, if I'm not willing to spend more than $200, then stick with that. To me, there's really no reason for you to have to go out and you know, blow $500 on a pair of Grants. Now, I'm not saying it's completely up to you, it's your money. I'm not saying you don't have to. If you want Grants, go get them. That's your money, do what you want. Be happy with life. But what I'm saying is that if you are on a budget and you're looking at getting something similar to Grants or even Bayoneta or Reyes, is that you have options out there. And these aren't even all the Mexican gloves I've ever reviewed. There's so many other brands out there, TC32. I mean, there's so many other private label, Bryant Boxing. I mean, there's so many I forget because there's so many of them. So do keep that in mind. You do have options. There's a lot of good variety out there, a lot of great variety out there at different price points. Do your homework. I'm sure you'll find something that you'll be satisfied with. I'll put the link in the description box for where I got my personal gloves right here. That way, if you guys are interested in checking them out yourself, you guys can. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.